Roshidava Hawalia, Roshidava Hawalia, Roshidava Hawalia, and a sure hocked on Tauri. Roshidava Hawalia,
Stad and Slad,
Roshidava Hawalia,
Stad and Slad,
and a sure hocked on Tauri.
free, 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 free. GRMA agus buíochas le gach duine ón pobal Uachtar Chluanaí. Tá muid an seo an ach chun glú forteach na léirí le winter na Phalaistíne agus chun seasaí go glóraach in iad an Caitlín agus Slad Israel ar na Phalaistín. Big GRMA to the Upper Springfield community for joining us tonight to show solidarity with the Palestinian people and to stand against the Israeli colonization, occupation and genocide of Palestine.
To all people of conscience, of integrity, of compassion and of courage, I address you tonight, where we are witnessing one of the most horrific chapters of siege, destruction, bombing and shelling. The deliberate killing of the captive Palestinian population in Gaza that has been held under siege, that has been brutally bound for decades, and now Israel is deliberately destroying their homes, their infrastructure, their institutions, colleges, universities, hospitals, homes, and is claiming self-defense. Since when does an occupier claim self-defense against the occupied, against its victims? The people of Gaza are living without food, without shelter, without water, without electricity, without fuel, and they are being shelled and bombed from the sky, from the sea, and by land. There was a predisposition not just by the mainstream media, but also by Western leaders to claim that Israel is not only acting in self-defense, but to encourage Israel, to enable Israel, to support Israel, and to become party to these crimes against humanity. This is unacceptable and it is shameful. When you become an apologist for such massacres and crimes, then you are complicit and you have to be held accountable. It's time that the world understand in context, not within the lies that have been manufactured, spread by the Israeli army and spin doctors, but to look at the reality concretely and to understand that the decades of Palestinians' victimization and torture has led to the victims speaking out and breaking out of these chains. You cannot keep giving Israel a free pass, and you cannot keep giving Israel support. You have to look at the facts, and you have to let your humanity and your honesty speak out rather than this preconceived racism and bias. We appreciate the fact that the people all over the world are defying their governments and speaking out and protesting these atrocities against the Palestinian people. Thank you very much.
We all know why we're here tonight. This community knows struggle and resistance more than most. The numbers turning out week after week to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters from Palestine is testament to just how deeply our people feel their plight. Palestinians are some of the hardest, bravest people on this planet, refusing to be broken and in fact vowing to break the Israeli apartheid regime. In Palestine there's a word for this, Masoud. Similar to Chathail, it's a steadfastness and a refusal to be broken. What Palestinians need from us is Masoud. When this current onslaught ends, which it will, Palestinians will continue to live under occupation in an apartheid state, waiting on the next wave of mass murder. What we've shown these past few weeks is that we won't sit idly by while genocide unfolds without taking action. Here in Loughran and in our local GAA clubs, we've been part of the action to force O'Neill's to remove Puma goods from their stores. But we shouldn't stop at O'Neill's. It should be very clear that Ireland doesn't fund genocide. These clubs are apartheid-free zones. They won't support any goods or profiting from or funding the genocide of Palestinians. It's a really small act and very simple to do. So what I'm urging each of you to go away here tonight and do is speak to your local sports club or your shop. There is absolutely no reason why the Upper Springfield and why West Belfast shouldn't be entirely an apartheid-free zone. As you prepare for Christmas, be conscious of what you're buying. On the 5th of December in here, we'll be holding an event, Santa Boycotts Genocide, explaining the targeted nature of the boycott and advising people what they should be looking out for when they're doing their shopping, what you should be avoiding and what the alternatives are, like HP computers or Puma. What we also need to do is be glorious in applying our political pressure. On Tuesday at the Laochra training, the word spread very quickly that the Israeli ambassador had been invited to the Mansion House in Dublin by the Lord Mayor, and nobody was happy to accept it. WhatsApp groups were flying, emails were being sent, and the people of Ireland refused to accept that. And just before we arrived here tonight, we seen the message sent to the Israeli ambassador with a very clear message that Ireland doesn't support their genocide, and she was sent packing from the Mansion House, and we should send her packing from the island. Lastly, as we mobilised, so too have millions across the globe. Next Wednesday in Palestine, there'll be a general strike. They've asked the workers of the world to stand with them for 1 hour in a global shutdown for Palestine. I know already our workers in the Royal will be out from 12:30 to 1:30, and other organisations have agreed to join us on the Falls Road. Close your business for 1 hour, or your youth club, or your office, and come out and use that hour to take real action for Palestine. Free Palestine, GRMA.
Commission Uachtar Chluanaí Mothers Against Genocide. Mar Wathrathe, Tumudig Feckle na Hiwana Fasaha, take Chachtamachas in Phalaistín. The Diet of Shachlanus, Tumudig Feckle Bobby Hanuverhe, Pádraig, Pádraig agus Uachtar Chluanaí, a bheith dúmharí has na mílte Vala Brúdalach. And Spricka Tugging Mar Grupa, na Gadaki Dini, na Dirac Statistiki in the Plasti Shaw, Acker Fear Vini, Fear Guinea, na Heisling, the Taishmahori, at the Bring Lord Yaku than a Blasti Shin. So I'm here tonight representing Mothers Against Genocide. As mothers, we have been watching in horror every single day for 47 days as newborn babies, toddlers, children and their families are being brutally murdered in their thousands. Our mission is to make sure that these children are seen as more than just statistics. Every one of those precious babies was someone's everything, and we want their names to be known. We've all seen the image of the woman cradling a young child covered by a shroud. She's whispering something to the child. As mothers, even though we don't speak the same language as this woman, we all understand what this heartbroken woman is whispering into that cherished child's ear. Every single one of us here tonight are part of a global movement, a movement that's calling for the end of this barbaric apartheid regime. We're here representing our community, a community that's still dealing with the trauma that colonisation brought to our doors. We're also here representing the generations that have came before us, and we all need to remember that we are all ancestors in training. We stand united with the millions of mothers and their families across borders, across oceans, and all across the world. We are united in our grief, our anger, and our rage that any child's life could be taken away so brutally. As mothers, our role is to protect our children, and every child across the world deserves our protection. I want to say thank you to everyone who's turned out tonight and who continue to turn up at the protests every week. As we all start to get busy looking ahead and planning for Christmas, it's important to keep showing up to protests and to raise our voices for the Palestinian people. It's also vital that we are spending our money where it matters and that we ensure that our money isn't being used to fund bomb bullets. Research the brands that are helping fund this mass murder and boycott them. There's plenty of information online about this, and if you're unsure, check the BDS website. GRMA agus Saoirse den Phalaistín.
A Cairde, is Mr. Pádraig de Brún, Dalta a Gaish the First. Ger Israel, go bhfuil sus cookie curtha féin. Níl seo galore, cai Gerry omlan a Féin leis an Kenny ihu. Gajé mullen Stad Scolláin in the Carroll. Lance an array leis an Kenny ihu. A mo sé de go lance an array leis an Flacbus Boomaloo, Tihi, Scolláin, Loughran, no Cappy Chaffee. Gefed Shella will mention a Palestine album de Glocky. Cahi ar realties, sa Tuskard agus Jaskard, Brea Cur and Stad meets Lahak Israel. Gerry occur leis an Kenny ihu. An ambassador Israel ag GRMA agus an nasc leis an Israel stopi. Tá mé Buegas an sean seo a fé agam, Shasios war cór, agus Lord son na Palestine, agus má gutha úsage, nar nach bhfuil daine ag geisteach na gutha Phalaistín. Tá na mílte mrá, agus fur, agus páistí marv, agus tá an rata ag golardaí le. Caihí muid se le go amach ar agóidí, scapan all his heart, agus boycott Ari Israelach. Bé páirteach na grúpaí, no glór na múna an seo. No few, bé páirteach a Factus BDS, an cultí rud gan ianni leis boycott. Is é mana Moscow, na habare, Johnny, agus den sin an rud caihí muid Johnny. Ní heglan na rá, go bhfuil muid go rud gan ianni, agus CR dún. Caihí muid ar róla immer, agus rud gan ianni. Bhil am a buchas a ggóil liv, is éisteach agus teach na mag aniu, ha mar takeíach de Larry. Gara ar bwaistí a fés mar díolta sugin, GRMA agah agus Saoirse Phalaistín.
Israel believes it has the right to kill every man, woman and child in the Gaza Strip. According to their spokespersons over the last number of weeks, the 2.3 million people there are either terrorist supporters or human shields, and all are therefore legitimate targets. Journalists, children, doctors, UN workers, newborn babies and incubators. Israel says it can kill them all, and then tell us that they are acting in accordance with international law. The killing of every child, doctor, elderly person, UN worker, journalist, sick person was justified according to Israel. Anyone espousing this warped sense of logic has, according to the Palestinian representative at the UN, no shred of humanity, no sense of morality, and no knowledge of legality. People are not fools, and millions have come out onto the streets throughout the world in support of Palestine. They've heard the same arguments time and time again after every onslaught on Gaza. They've seen the collective punishment, the targeting of children, journalists, medical staff and aid workers before. They've seen the forcible transfer of communities, the colonisation of Palestinian land, the demolition of Palestinian homes and the eviction of families from their own properties since October the 7th, and for the 75 years preceding that. Israel says we are all lying about their violation of international law. The breathtaking arrogance of Israeli spokespersons talking about wars having rules while they commit genocide, ethnic cleansing and collective punishment is an affront to even the very basic humanity. And I say to the Israeli regime, the millions of people filling the streets of every major capital in the world see through your propaganda and disinformation. They are calling out your genocide. They have heard your racist rhetoric describing Palestinians as human animals and children of darkness, and the calls to drop a nuclear bomb on Gaza. And they are saying, stop your persecution of the Palestinian people. Despite their efforts Israel will not succeed in wiping out the Palestinian people or driving them from their land. Israel should have learned over the past 75 years that the Palestinians are a people who refuse to bend the knee or disappear. To paraphrase Bobby Sands, they don't have enough weapons in their arsenal to break the will of one Palestinian person who refuses to be broken. Israel cannot and will not extinguish the Palestinians' desire to be free and to live in the dignity and peace to which all people are entitled. During the hunger strike here in 1981, we received many letters of support and solidarity from Palestinian prisoners. So tonight, here in the heart of West Belfast, we return that support and solidarity. We stand with Palestine. Free Palestine, Saoirse don Phalaistín.
Chathail Chluanaí, Uachtar Chluanaí don Phalaistín. I think it's very, very important that we're here tonight on the eve of a so-called pause, a pause that we don't even know is even going to happen. And if there is a ceasefire, I'm sure that ceasefire will give some relief to Palestinians who've been under bombardment for almost 2 months now, unable to get food, unable to get water, unable to live whilst bombs are dropping on their buildings and on their homes. So I hope there's a somewhat of a ceasefire to let people live and breathe for a while. But even if there is, and it's a big if, because the world is demanding a ceasefire and Israel refuses, as of today, to implement one, even if there is a ceasefire, we have to say loudly and categorically there can be no return to normal. Normal in Israel. And normal in Israel under Israeli watch means occupation, apartheid, oppression, theft of Palestinian land. So even if the ceasefire does happen, and I hope for the people of Palestine there is some reprieve, we have to say in Ireland and across the world, we will not allow a return to normal. We will not allow the media and politicians to say peace on Israeli terms means justice for Palestinians. Because without justice, there is no peace. And without addressing the fact that millions of Palestinians have been expelled across the world from the Nakba and millions of people are being displaced in Gaza and elsewhere, there will be no peace. We have to say that loud and clear. We also have to say and continue to call out the butchers who back the Israeli state, who sign the checks to allow the bombs to be dropped on Gaza, who sign the checks to allow the settlers to use the weapons on people in Palestine. We have to call them out loud and clear. We have to call them out if they're on this island, north or south. Joe Biden, Ursula von der Leyen, Rishi Sunak and the rest of them. If they come on this island, we'll protest against them because there's no welcome. There's no welcome for the ambassador. Absolutely, the ambassador should go. But there's no welcome for people who back genocide, who back occupation, and who back the apartheid state. So we have to say that, and the hope that there is a ceasefire, but I don't even know if there will be one, as much as I hope that there will be. I think we also have to say, and emphasise what Caitlín said, we've seen thousands and thousands of people across this city, from Upper Springfield, from West Belfast, from every corner of this city, from every background, every religion and none, come out in the streets to demand an end to the slaughter of Palestinians. But I think we can go on better. I think we can get tens of thousands of people in the streets in the coming weeks before Christmas, because people want to come out. People aren't fed up marching. People are desperate for the slaughter to end. So whatever we can do collectively to get more and more people in the streets will make a difference. It will put pressure on the British government. It will put pressure on the Southern government, who've been cowardly and spineless and dancing the same tune of Biden the Butcher, and it will make other parties and leaders across the world look up. So I think we've got a job to do. People have done a tremendous job in this community already in the last few months, but we need to keep marching to extend our solidarity for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. If we can connect that up with workers taking strike action, I think we've got a powerful movement in Ireland and across the world that can break apartheid, because they told people in the 80s apartheid South Africa can't be broke, but it was broke. What broke it? The resistance of black people in South Africa, a global solidarity movement. We need to learn from that to say people in Palestine can do the same. They have a right to resistance. Armed resistance, peaceful resistance is all legitimate. They have a right to do so. Our job is to support them and to say Palestine will be free. GRMA.
Caitlín Carroll. While we're doing square, my boy has a goal as an honor this and Curry of live and act as the Lord live. Agus just a lot cake abroad as a tammy as munching in Yale agus as in pobal shaw taigoni shasu galager agus good jaw or son the Phalaistín so why shiv a leg. So I guess I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about solidarity and what we mean by the term solidarity. And I was first invited to consider this term when I was in Palestine. I joined a group called the International Solidarity Movement, and in Ramallah on the wall it read, "If you're here to help, then you're wasting your time. But if you're here because your freedom is bound up with mine, then let's work together." So what I learned is Palestinians don't need our help, nor do they need or want our pity. They want our solidarity. They want to know that there are people out there who are sharing in their suffering and in their pain, and who are willing to maybe leverage their own freedoms so that one day they may also be able to attain freedom themselves. The second important lesson that I learned was when I was leaving, I was told, look, it's great that you've come out here to show your solidarity and to stand with us and protest, but 99% of the work that you can do is at home, because it is here and our governments and our institutions that prop up the Israeli regime. So where we are most powerful and where we can be most effective is right here. Just down the road, we have the Caterpillar factory. Caterpillar, who proudly print their name on the bulldozers that flatten Palestinian homes. Or Thales, who have weapons contract with Elbit Systems, the largest Israeli weapons manufacturer. Or Queen's University Belfast, who are developing more and more sophisticated mechanisms and ways of spying on Palestinians, and who have Hillary Clinton as the Vice Chancellor, the warmonger Hillary Clinton. So I want to say that this movement is strong and this movement is growing, but this movement won't be won with marches alone. We will win. I want to say that. We will see liberation in Palestine, but it won't be won with marches alone. We've seen millions across the world marching in solidarity with people of Palestine, and yet we've yet to have achieve our most basic demand, which is a ceasefire. So I guess what I'm inviting people here tonight to begin to consider is, do we need to change our tactics? Is there more that we can do to show our solidarity for the people of Palestine? How far are we willing to go? The way I see it, our job is very simple. Our job here is to do whatever we can to weaken the Israeli state. So I would invite anyone and everyone to begin to imagine ways that we can leverage our freedoms here so that we can maximize the political and economic pressure we apply on Israel and their allies to bring that regime to its knees so that one day we will see the liberation of Palestine. GRMA.